Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday the 9th of February 2020, and yesterday we published our gold and silver weekly update for the week ending the 7th of February, and on Friday we published our video entitled Favourable Jobs Report Strengthens US Dollar. Both of these complement one another, and we've placed links to these in the description box below. Now today, as promised, we are interviewing controversially Greg for an update on the coronavirus. Now he provides relevant recent figures and gives one or two tips re prevention. Now we are repeating this video on our other channel, Richard and Greg Discussion, Debate and Argument, but believe it to be pertinent to produce it here today as well, because in the past couple of weeks we have seen how the coronavirus initially had no effect on markets, then 2 weeks ago had a considerable downward effect on equity markets in particular, and gold and silver prices rising, and then last week, when we were all told a cure may be in the offing, markets recovered. However, that said, listening to Greg and the extent and pace of this virus increasing, it does make one wonder how equity markets can be so laissez-faire about the situation. We have frequently stated that if it were not for the coronavirus, the recent China-US trade deal, the signing of USMCA, and Trump's impeachment success, we would see equity markets skyrocketing, the dollar strengthening even more so than it has already, and gold and silver prices falling further as a consequence, at least in the short term. This is not, however, quite the case, and the coronavirus is the one black swan that we see being most likely for now to disrupt the whole apple cart and turn all financials on their head, and consequently much higher gold prices, with a monetary demand for silver, as it's attached to gold, pulling its price up as well, even though the industrial demand will fall because of the virus affecting manufacturing. Now this is not a foregone conclusion, and if the virus can be detained within certain limits, then its impact will be short-lived. However, it would be true to say that no one can really forecast at this early stage how effective quarantine measures are or are going to be, and to what extent this virus can truly infiltrate global society as a whole. What we can say is that antibacterial hand washes, antibacterial and chemical face masks, and similar products will suddenly rise in price if this virus spreads to the extent that Greg believes that it can. So let's listen to Greg's report, and at the end, please do not forget to subscribe to this channel. And if there are any products you wish to purchase from Amazon, using our links below will provide a small commission to help us to promote the channel further. Later today, we shall be publishing, within the Inner Sanctum, our gold forecast for 2020. And if you are a silver or bronze member, then please go over to illuminatisilver.com, sign in, and click on the premium video section. Now we estimate this video will go up approximately at 8 p.m. GMT, approximately 7 hours or so after this video is published, and will be released to everyone later the following week. Thank you so much for listening. Over to our discussion with Greg. Well, it is Saturday evening, 1936 GMT, on the 8th of February. And today's video podcast will actually be published tomorrow on Sunday. And we're having a conversation with controversially Greg, primarily about the coronavirus and an update as to how this is affecting the rest of the world. I've noticed very briefly this evening on Reuters that an American has died in China of the virus, and that a number of British people have been affected in France. So let's get a more up-to-date picture from Greg. Greg, good evening.
Good evening. I'm not sure we're in for a series of good evenings now, because there is no doubt whatsoever that the coronavirus has taken hold, primarily in China at this stage, but it is inexorably spreading. There are now some 28 countries that have live coronavirus cases. Let's look at the figures. today, which is actually the figures for about midday, they are fully updated at about 10 o'clock GMT, 10 p.m. GMT each day, but there are a few adjustments during the day. At the moment, as at 5 minutes ago, there were 34,974 cases that are actually confirmed to exist. That does not make allowances for cases that are hidden away in homes and remote villages or haven't realized that they have coronavirus rather than just a nasty cold. So that figure is an underestimate, possibly by a very long way. However, we can only go on what is actually registered. And of those 34,974, 6,106 of them are considered to be critical in severe condition, which is a little bit perturbing to say the least. Deaths recorded to date are 724. And it would seem that there is a certain amount of panic going on in China, in that basically authorities, such as they are in China, are forcibly taking into confinement people they have suspicions of having the virus. And this is being done forcibly because obviously they are particularly worried. Since January the 22nd, the cases are climbing exponentially. We are actually experiencing at the moment approximately a doubling of the number of cases every 5 days. That means 5 days from today, there will be 70,000 cases. And 5 days later, 140,000 cases. It doesn't take very long to become a really scary statistic. Added to which, deaths around the world are occurring, and 28 countries, as I said, now have the virus. The fatality rate is still looking relatively low at 2%, but that's with a very big question mark, because of the 34,000 odd who have the virus at the moment, we don't know how many will go on to die. Transmission rate, likewise, is a bit of guesswork, in that at the moment, while we are in the low stages of this potential pandemic, between 3 and 4 newly infected cases are materializing from each case known. The incubation period is still put at between 2 and 14 days. Well, you can meet an awful lot of people in 14 days and spread the disease an awfully long way, especially in this age of literally millions of people traveling internationally in a matter of hours by air. We also have 7 new cases in Singapore, and it was from Singapore that a British patient with the virus had been on a business conference and caught the virus in Singapore. That is a transference from China to Singapore, and then from whoever had it in Singapore to the British, dare I say, victim. The US Embassy has confirmed, as Richard said, a 60-year-old American woman in Wuhan has died on February the 6th. That's only just percolated through. There are 5 new cases in France. 4 are adults and 1 a child. 3 new cases in Japan on a cruise ship, bringing the total on that cruise ship alone, the Diamond Princess, to 64. There are other cruise ships held in quarantine at various ports. So it is becoming global, very slowly, very steadily to start with. So I don't think we have any room for complacency. A new case has been diagnosed in Wisconsin. What else have we got of interest? A Japanese man in his 20s who deals with tourists but hadn't been to China has the virus. 3 new cases in South Korea. 2 of them contracted in Singapore at a conference. 4 new cases confirmed in Singapore, and so on and so forth. So where do we go from here? Well, really, it is still a matter of guesswork, but it is starting to look more likely that this could turn into a global pandemic. We have no idea how many cases there are over the border in the remote areas around the borders of China, and many of those areas are very remote. However, at this stage, if you're in Cambodia or Vietnam, where there are cases, you should actually be considerably more concerned about the number of traffic deaths than coronavirus deaths, because they have such high rates of mortality on their roads. But that could very quickly change, and coronavirus could become very much a primary cause of death in many countries. So I hope that prepares you somewhat. I have no intention to be alarmist other than to say that I'm potentially alarmed, having watched the figures slowly and inexorably rise and no sign of control. So perhaps take it seriously, but don't panic. Panic is the worst thing to do in the face of any medical emergency. I would suggest that you would be foolish, even at this early stage, not to consider risk. There is a risk. You don't know if the person you were close to in the supermarket or at the gas station or at a social gathering or walking down the street had been in contact with somebody who had been in contact with somebody from China or from Singapore or from any one of 28 other countries. So take intelligent precaution. And the primary precaution is be absolutely certain not to be in the line of somebody coughing, primarily. Secondarily, sneezing, which doesn't actually seem to have quite as high a transference rate. The reason being that droplets from sneezing are more atomized than from people coughing. Always, when you are coming in or able to access a sensible point, wash your hands. Having washed your hands, you will do yourself absolutely no harm by washing your face. I bought yesterday 6 small bottles of medical alcohol, I presume, based hand wash. It's easy to use. You can put a bottle in your pocket or handbag and use it whenever you feel a need. And regular use will give you an element of protection. More than that, I can't suggest. I don't think it's going to turn into a pandemic, but only an idiot would not be aware of those problems. When you look at the streets of Beijing or Wuhan or any of the other cities in China, and we're all used to seeing 8 or 9 lanes of dense traffic and thousands of people on bicycles or on foot, those streets are empty. They are reacting to the risk. You would be wise to do likewise. And keep an eye on the figures. We will continue to update you on a regular basis.
Well, Greg, in closing, we'll put some links to certain products that are available on Amazon, antibacterial products, and even a mask. Whether the mask is effective, I don't know. What I wish we could actually put in the link below is what was published in the New York Times 3 days ago. China weighs benefits of buffalo horn. Apparently, China is advising doctors to consider mixing Western antiviral drugs with traditional Chinese medicine.
Richard, that is purely to get them to take the medicament based on their own medical superstitions. These are a people who think slaughtering rhinoceros and grinding down the keratin in its horn will in some way enhance their sexual prowess. Batty as a box of frogs when it comes to medical grounds. And what a tragedy for the rhino.
Blast, and I've got 10 of them in my study as we speak. Greg, thank you for the update. Much appreciated.
My pleasure.
We hope you have found this video interesting and informative. And if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer: Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.